Welcome back to another episode of Thinking That Matters. I'm Elizabeth Mahusai, your podcast host, and I am here with my friend, Monica Steiner, who we get to say just got back from earning the, let me make sure I've got it, Miss Natural Olympia. Yes. Which is like so exciting.
It is huge in Las Vegas.
Yes.
It was so for 28th Natural Olympia that takes place over there. Over 500 athletes, 60 countries represented.
That's
all over
amazing.
the world. Oh my gosh. Well, and thank you for having me.
Yes, so you have 2 gold medals and a silver medal that you earned.
I did.
For someone who has no clue, like they may have heard of Olympia, but just give a quick explanation of it.
Well, what's interesting, and we're talking bodybuilding, so some people may not even know.
That's exactly why
Olympia.
Right.
It's sort of like the Olympics, but of bodybuilding, and it is natural, and that means that basically there are no performance-enhancing drugs that are associated with it. So it is held every year in Las Vegas. The organization is the INBA, PNBA, which is the International Natural Bodybuilding Association, the Professional Natural Bodybuilding Association. And I got involved with them, I would say, I started bodybuilding in 2010. I learned about them in 2011, and I've been involved ever since, competing for 10 years straight, going abroad, having this incredible fit family it's truly global. But in 2019, I was honored with being inducted into the Hall of Fame for this organization. I'd achieved a lot within, and I decided that's enough. I was 54 at the time, and I said, okay, it's time not to retire, but just to move on. And I decided I wanted to continue by influencing from the other side of it, from coaching athletes, from starting a show that I do here in the Dallas area that's a Mr. Miss USA. But I did say in that speech that I made when I accepted, the Hall of Fame induction, I said, when I turn 60, and my 60th year, I will step back on stage again. That was 6 years ago. And this year was a very busy year with one of my kids getting married, first grandbaby, doing all sorts of other things. And I said, oh my gosh.
I said I was going to
compete at 60, but it takes a lot. There's a lot of discipline, obviously the nutrition, the training itself, the mindset is huge in what happens. And I said, I don't really have the time to dedicate to myself the way I should. And then I reminded myself of, and we all do this, we all promise things, and then we let them go. And I said, no, when I say something, I do it. And that's what I tell a lot of, because I coach as well, so I tell a lot of my clients, life happens. But it's how can you be the best that you can possibly be within everything else that is happening to you at that time. And can we be better? Of course we can. Can we step on stage? Of course. But at that moment in time, that year, that show, whatever it is, that's the best that you did. And so I did. I stepped on stage. And, well, hey, the result wasn't too bad. With 2 golds and a silver, it was a wonderful comeback. So I'm super excited.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I loved watching the video of them playing the national anthem.
Okay, and it's giving me goosebumps right now.
Your emotional, visceral response to that, it's just a reminder of those opportunities in life that we have to recognize we're a part of something bigger than ourselves.
You just said it right there, because for many people, they could think, oh, bodybuilding is a very individualistic sport. It's about me. It's about how I look. It's about what I am doing. What I love about this organization and where it goes is that it doesn't matter where you're from in the United States. When we go to the Natural Olympia, we are Team USA. And as Team USA, every time that a gold is given, a first place, get your flag, and your national anthem is played. And the feeling of standing on that stage or on a podium with the flag, with the laurels, got the laurel here too, which was absolutely amazing. And hearing the national anthem is just something that it just I'm almost speechless because it's hard to explain the emotions. And it took me back, if you look at that video, and I was looking up, and I was actually looking up at my dad. In 2017, I became a Miss Olympia champion in physique, and that was the exact same year my dad had passed away in January, and this was the following November. And I just looked up, and basically, you know, it was dedicated to him. And since then, this had happened again, and so, you know, it was very special.
That is special. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for representing our country well.
Our country and our age group. Not your age group, my age group.
Well, I'm not far behind you. I'm 54 and a half.
I would have never known.
Yeah. So, hey, I feel like I've aged very well. So, but I love it. Now, obviously you have a passion for it. What actually led you to even look at bodybuilding?
It's interesting that you say that, because bodybuilding in and of itself isn't something that I was introduced to or I'd have even thought about until I was 45. So I almost say, well, it's a bit of my midlife crisis. Having said that, I was always very involved with health and wellness and the longevity of that. And I think a lot of that stemmed from, as a child, being a very sickly child. When I was 2 years old, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. I had a lot of allergies, a lot of bronchitis. When I was 13, I was involved with tap dancing, and always very, very sporty, gymnastics, later on martial arts. So there was that sport element. And I think that whole, because of the allergies and some of the illnesses that I had, nutrition was very important growing up, and the right type of nutrition for me at the time. And then obviously that movement, you know, we like to, whether we want to call it exercise or training, or it doesn't have to be in the gym. It is in the gym for me now, but I don't think I ever set foot in a gym until I was in college or later on. But it's that movement, whether that be dance or sport, and it's all of that together, but then you've got to add the mindset as well. Because, you know, the cup is either half full all the time or the cup is half empty. And it's just how we think about those things. And those three things together, that's where the passion comes from. And that's where, and how it changed my life growing up. Instead of having that attitude of, oh, I'm sick, I'm never going to be able to eat these foods, I won't be able to do X, Y, and Z, but pushing that aside and saying, no, that right there is a limiting belief that I choose not to even go to. What am I capable of? What can I do?
What can you do?
What can I do?
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, you'll find it is so incredible that whatever the mind thinks truly, your body is going to follow. Even just after I stopped in 2019 competing, I had knee surgery, I had a foot surgery, there were several things that were going on, and just being able to wear the high heels again, just being able to, how do I change, one of my legs was about an inch and a half smaller, you know, quads and calves, and how do you bring that up over a period of time? Do you just say, oh, well, you know, this is the way it is now? Or do you just say, no, I'm going to work on it, I'm going to do what I need to do, and it'll happen. It happens. I'll never forget, Elizabeth, actually, I had a anterior cruciate ligament surgery because they were torn. And when I woke up from the surgery, sometimes when they sever a little bit of certain nerves or tendons or whatnot, there'll be that numb feeling on, you know.
Had it when I had a hysterectomy. Yeah.
And sometimes that'll go away, sometimes it won't.
Yeah.
I willed it. I basically said, this has to go away. And not only, it's not just me, but I think sometimes it's the faith that you have as well. And I said, God, please heal me. And I was 100%, I just put it out there in the universe, and within 2 years, it was actually gone. And so I'm a big believer when it comes to putting things out there, and we need to do our part, and then just let God do the rest of it, you know?
I like it. Now, because it's so evident, your passion is so evident in this particular area, is that why you because your business is called Monica's Lifestyle Solutions. So is this really the foundational reason why you started that, or was it something different?
No, it actually was. I mean, I was always, it happens to be also my husband's an acupuncturist and chiropractor. So we are living, eating, breathing the lifestyle and the health side of it. When we lived in Northern Ireland and Scotland, we were very involved with a franchise called The Best of Health back then. And it was certain supplementation or ways of, and so for some it was about losing weight, for some it was about gaining weight, but doing things the right way and healthily. So I think over a long period of time, some of the personal experiences that I've had and realizing what one can do for others. I mean, after I started lifting or bodybuilding, I started getting a lot of people asking, hey, would you coach me, or what do I need to do? And for years, I said, no, I'm not an expert. I don't have a degree in this.
Right.
My degree is as a broadcast journalist, so I worked in television and many other things, but I have the life experience. Oh, yeah. Okay. But I was a news director for Univision here in Dallas.
There you go.
Many years ago. But my life experiences, where what I had lived through, then all the experiences that I'd had over years of bodybuilding, and when I would go to a gym and I would see some of these trainers who had the education, but either they were very young, they didn't know what it was like if somebody had a shoulder injury or somebody had a knee injury, how to sort of coach people who needed adaptations. All you need is to adapt.
Yeah, to adapt.
And so that's where the passion got more and more. And I finally said, okay, I'll do it. And I started with a few clients. Let's see what we can do. And they were doing fantastic, and they were doing great. And I saw the need. And I said, you know what? We might as well pour this into an actual business. And that's where Monica's Lifestyle Solutions was born, pretty much about 7, 8, maybe 9 years ago now or so, very slowly.
And so with that, would you say it's predominantly a coaching practice? Like you're coaching them in bodybuilding, nutrition?
It's not necessarily bodybuilding.
Okay,
so this
talk
is
to me
either
about
lifestyle
that. Okay.
Or I do bodybuilding prep because I have done that. But I have a lot of, those are my athletes.
Okay.
But then I have a lot of both men, women, those who might be in their 50s or 60s and say, hey, I just want to get healthier. I want to do this. My big thing is, what is your purpose? And I'm about my passion is making you fit for your purpose, whatever that may be. Some people, it may be, you know what, I have grandchildren, and I want to be able to get on the floor with them. I want to be able to pick them up. So that's where even some of the strength training might come from.
Right.
You don't go to the gym just to look good yourself, but it's got to be functional. You know, what drives you? And I think a lot of times weight loss or gain might be that initial, but it's not about that, because if it's just about weight loss, you'll never make it a lifestyle.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You gotta have a different why.
I think that's the key connection there, is that oftentimes people are connecting weight loss, right?
Fitness and weight loss.
Correct, to lifestyle. But then if you're always, how do I verbalize this? If you're always in a, quote, lifestyle of weight loss, typically that means you're yo-yoing, right? You gain, and then I've got to lose it. And then I let myself gain it, and then I've got to lose it. Because if the lifestyle is weight loss, does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Well, that's why when somebody comes to me, I don't give them a meal plan or tell them what to eat off the bat. I say, you tell me what you're doing right now. And I look at what it is that they're doing, because that's obviously where they're at in their life. What are their responsibilities? You know, is it my husband? Is it my wife? Are my children? My work? Do I travel? What do I do? And you look at what their lifestyle is and what they are doing at the moment. And what you do is you take little things that they might not even realize, and you maybe either eliminate or slightly change those first without saying, throw all that away, here's something new.
Right.
Because if not, it's a challenge, which anybody can do a challenge for 60 days, 90 days, whatever. But then you can't wait until that challenge is over, and you can go back to doing what you were doing to begin with. And that's the problem. So unless you make certain little changes and you do that willingly over time so that it becomes who you are, that's where the real change is made.
I think that's important. There's a couple of things.
Yeah.
It's progressive change, right? Like you said over time.
Over time.
Where you literally can have a mind shift, as they would call it. And from a brain standpoint, the mind shift is that you've got to build neural pathways that can take root and take hold for it to be lifestyle sustainable.
Yes.
Right? Where you truly are, you by choice eat differently, for example, right?
And it has to come, you do it by choice, but then as you continue to do this, you're starting to listen to your own body. And you're starting, once initially you may have to eliminate certain things that you might crave, but once that, it's like an addiction in a way. Once that certain things are out of your system, believe me, the body's incredible and it'll tell you what it needs.
Or what you shouldn't be feeding it.
As well, I have clients who will say, oh my gosh, I don't know what it was, but I was craving fats and I needed, I'm like, oh, is it that time of the month maybe? Well, yeah. Well, that's your hormones telling you it needs more fats. And I'm talking good fats, of course, but that is so important. This was during COVID, and it was during COVID, I think, that people realized you don't have to be one-on-one or in person with somebody who's coaching you or training you, but you can definitely do it long distance. And this was a gal who was turning 60, say gal, and I'd known her, we'd worked together in television years ago, and she was out in California, and I was here, and she said, Monica, could you help me? I'm like, yeah, sure. She said, okay, but here's the deal. Friday nights is my Glenlivet night. And for those of you who don't know, Glenlivet is whiskey.
Okay.
So she would say, my husband and I, for the past 17 years, on Friday night, that's our night to, whiskey night. Do I have to give that up? I said, absolutely not, because that's something that's very important to you. And that's something that is specific about who you are and what you are doing. So I said, no, what we're going to do is we're going to find some other things throughout the rest of the week that we're maybe not going to do so that you can have that Glenlivet night with your husband. She ended up training with me for about 3 years. It was just going to be a lifestyle. She came and did a transformation in a bodybuilding show because she had lost over 50 some odd pounds. But after that first year, she said, Monica, my husband wants to do this Glenlivet stuff, and I'm not really that interested anymore. I just don't find the need. And so that was something that over time herself and her body were telling her, you know what, it's not appetizing.
It wasn't serving her anymore is what it sounds like.
She did that on her own.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I told her, eliminate that.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference between telling someone what we believe they should be or shouldn't be doing versus self-realization. And you know this as a coach, I do it in my coaching as well, that if I can ask questions to help someone come to a self-realization, it's always stronger, more powerful than me telling them what they should do. And it's also more sustainable, typically, for most people. Where I love that. And now, so think about, because you've been in this space and you've coached a variety of people, I have to imagine, because you're thinking nutrition and what's happening with the body, that you have worked with some people that have really struggled with limiting beliefs. And, my passion is helping people to cultivate thinking that matters, better thinking. Mm-hmm. So give us a couple of examples of people that have come to you that have definitive limiting beliefs, and give us some ways you've helped them overcome it.
So I think that is, it's huge in that, yes, they have come maybe with some limiting beliefs, but what it is, as you're saying, it's about changing that to how they overcome exactly those limiting beliefs. And if I go ahead and think, we have a wonderful young man. His name is Hunter Moore. And he's got quite a big social media following now as well.
Yes, he does.
I met him when he was 15 years old, 2 weeks before a competition I was doing. His dad called me up and said, hey, my son Hunter, he told me his story. He has cerebral palsy. He was not supposed to even walk, but thanks to the blood cord registry, and they'd saved some of his blood and whatnot in certain transfusions, he was able to. One of his left side, his left arm and his left leg are almost atrophied, basically, compared to his right. Now, on his right, he had a 19-inch bicep at 15. Like, what? How is this possible?
Wow.
Well, my son was bullied, and it was the gym, going to the gym, that basically saved his sanity. He was able to thrive over there. And I would love him. I was told about you and a bodybuilding show that you've got going on.
This is his dad saying that he was bullied. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? Just have him show up. I mean, he hadn't had barely any training. Talked to him for a while. I said, I want him to see what's possible. I want him to come and experience it. He did. He came to one of the shows, absolutely loved it, did well, because we actually have a physically challenged standing and a physically challenged wheelchair seated. So he did that. He also did a teen category. And we've been working together now since then. He'll be 18, I think it is this weekend even, or so. Yes.
Oh, my word.
If you were to see him, what he's been able to overcome, and he'll say, Miss Monica, I was able to deadlift X, Y, and Z, or all of a sudden my other arm, it's his other arm and his other leg are growing, and what he's able to do in the gym, he never thought was possible. Just by trying, and just by, here's the thing, it's adapting. It doesn't matter what kind of limitations one has, there's always an adaptation to be able to do and achieve that same goal. I have one of my athletes who is wonderful as well. She's dealing with limiting beliefs that come from culture as well as come from the type of foods. She's completely vegan, vegetarian. She's from India, so the culture in and of itself of a female doing bodybuilding is not that it's frowned upon, actually. I mean, she's got an incredibly supportive husband, incredibly supportive family. And what she has been able to do, she was at the Olympia this weekend as well and got a gold medal in female bodybuilding. And
Wow.
it is, and it keeps me on my toes trying to find those adaptations and ways. In her case, when you're vegetarian, when you're vegan, it's very hard to get the pure protein into your body because it's all laced with carbs and fillers and other things too. But what she's been able to achieve is just incredible. Age is another one. Many people believe, oh, my age, I'm 50, I'm 60, I can't put muscle on. BS, not true. You can. Is it hard? Of course it is, but there are ways to go around it. Oh, I have injuries, I can't work out. BS. Is it hard? We just find adaptations. There are many, many ways to get the same results. So those are some of the types of limiting beliefs that you'll see, or whether it's illness, injury, age, all sorts of things like that, and one can overcome those.
All right, so adaptation is definitely a theme among those examples that you just gave. So it sounds like you can help them with the adaptation. What do you find has been effective in helping them, because they still have to embrace the adaptation, embrace the it's possible thinking.
You start small.
So tell me more.
You do. You just start first, and again, what are their beliefs to begin with? What do they feel are their limitations, and in what way? And you listen to that, and you take that all in, and then very slow. You can't do everything all at once. So, well, okay, maybe if we have a bad lower back, so we're going to find certain exercises that are not going to inflame that back. They're not going to, and that's another thing too. People think, oh, I'm going to start at the gym. They go whole hog all at once to where they're so sore, they're aching so much, they never go for another month. You can't do that either. So you have there is a way to start very slow, to start I always say if you are sore 2 to 3 days later, that's the way to do it.
Okay.
When I wake up in the morning and if I feel my back, oh man, I'm sore in my back. Okay, so that means that 2 days ago I did back.
Okay.
If I'm sore the next day or within a few hours,
something
crazy, because that means that I've overdone it.
Overdone it. Done something wrong is how I would,
That's true. So
overextension.
When it comes to nutrition, for example, it's not about, we feel that it's an all or nothing. I have a lot of, when I first talk to people, they say, oh, if I have, they call it a cheat meal. I like to call it a treat meal. It's a different way of looking at the same kind of thing. But when somebody feels they get off the wagon, they fall off the wagon, it's like, oh man, I wasn't supposed to eat this. I had a cookie. Well, hey, I had a cookie. I messed up. Now I might as well go have the whole box. And because I had the whole box, I might as well go off and, buy a couple more and, it turns into a whole day. And that's not the case. If you mess up, so to speak, that's fine. That's not going to mess you up. What it will be is that mindset of saying, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, hence I might as well just ruin the whole thing.
Right.
And that's a sabotaging kind of way to think about it. So that's another way to slowly allow people to, oh my gosh, Monica, I think I messed up. I didn't have this, or I did have this, or I had a few extra. That's okay. It's not going to kill you. And if you did, you know what? We're going to work that off a little bit more. We might do a little bit of cardio. Use it to fuel you in the gym to get a PR. Go a little bit heavier.
What's a PR?
Personal best or personal record.
Okay, got it.
Sorry. I know all those acronyms.
I was like, wait, what's PR?
Yeah,
I should know it.
Personal record. That's okay.
Yeah.
So those are ways, and that's where the type of, I don't do one-on-one with somebody where I say, okay, 2 more reps, 3 more reps in the gym. That's not the kind of coach I am. What I do is I put together, it's like a mind, physical, nutritional program. I meet with my athletes or my clients once a month in person for about 2.5 hours. We go over everything. I tell them exactly how I want them to do things. And then I let them go because everybody has their own timing, their own, if it's at home, if it's at a gym, if it's somewhere else. And and they can text me and call me 24/7. And I do get those texts saying, hey, I'm at the grocery store. Should I get this or this? Hey, I'm at dinner at a restaurant. Should I get the 6-ounce or the 8-ounce steak? That's fine. And I don't mind that. And I think those are questions that are much more important than standing over somebody and saying, 2 more reps, 1 more rep, 3 more. You can do that on your own if you're disciplined.
And I think the importance of what you're saying there, it's just great to hear that perspective, is from a lifestyle standpoint, you cannot be standing over someone 24/7.
No, exactly.
Right. There is a point about
do
which,
it because they want to do it.
Exactly that, and it also has to be something that's sustainable.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because otherwise, the likelihood of continuing it is very low, and it is one of the concerns. We don't have time to go into it in depth, but because you're in Natural Olympia, right? So you're really everything
natural bodybuilding,
everything natural, right?
Yes.
It's one of my biggest concerns with whether it's shots or things that help people fast.
Yeah, don't get me started on that one. We won't have enough time for that.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of dangers that are associated with that too.
Yes, it's that, how sustainable is that when you're not taking that or not receiving that? And that's the part where, and what is the impact that has in the mind, which you said that what you have learned is what your mind thinks your body follows, right?
Yes.
And so these are things I think that with what you do specifically, and it's not just in bodybuilding or in coaching of nutrition but it's, I think the principles though are incredibly important.
Yes.
And can apply to a broad range. Well, really into everything that we do in life. And so it just really speaks to the importance of it.
You know, I think just even as a confidence builder for ourselves, so many times we want to rely on others, or we want to rely, and then that's where, for example, if you're talking about substances, it's relying on something, someone else, as opposed to taking ownership. And when we do take ownership and then we see some of those results, it is such a confidence booster. And it is, you know, that's what builds us up. And we've got to start somewhere. Now, what you see a lot, I think, too, I mean, I see it with young people when I tell them, hey, start natural. See what your body can do when it comes to building muscle, when it comes to what you can achieve. You can always add that other stuff in later if you'd like. And, you know, I'm huge on the natural side of it just because of the longevity. I've seen people in their 80s and their 90s doing incredible things just because they've done it naturally. I think once you start adding a bunch of chemicals and a bunch of different things, the body long term does not like that. And you know, it's not that the work is not the same, because those who compete in different organizations and different federations that aren't tested, I mean, goodness, they put in as much work in the gym. Their diet, everything is the same. It's a different type of look. But it's just how I feel. Same thing now with a lot of the shots that are people who want to lose weight, people who want to gain weight, and they're using all sorts of products and things to do that. That's great, but again, their mind, they're relying on something. And if that product, if that source weren't there, would they feel secure enough that they could do that on their own?
Without it.
Without it. And that's where what I try to do is build that within somebody, that regardless of what that limitation is, there's always a way around that limitation, and being able to, you know, we either go over, go under, go through, go around. There are many different ways that you can go. It just doesn't have to be straight.
That's recently I heard it defined, might not be the right word, but what you were just saying, it's pathways thinking, right? Finding a pathway to that end goal. For Hunter, you have been helping him adapt based on certain limitations that he is dealing with and how he can still have success in the midst of that. Or your vegan athlete, right, who is completely vegetarian. As soon as you said that, I'm like, wait, how does that work? When, because I'm on this, you know, I've been on my own journey with higher protein and all of that. And I just immediately, I was like, wait, how do you do that on just vegetables, right? I mean,
well, and it's, I mean, obviously, you know, lentils and rice, you mix them together and they create protein, but you still have that whole side of it. There's X amount of carbs that are in there too, and usually it's more. So it's hard to get that pure protein.
But that's why there's so much value in having an outside voice to help you navigate that as well. I
have my own outside voice. And, you know, I did this, but even though I coach others, sometimes you need that third, that other eye to look at yourself. So I had a coach helping me through my nutrition, because I didn't want to have to deal with looking at myself and second guessing and what was going on.
Well, and I think the reality is too, when if we're just looking at our own selves, I do think there is this tendency where we can reach a point where we'll give ourselves a pass, whether it's fatigue or hunger or disappointment, or there's so many different factors. Versus when you have a third party outside voice, there's so much value to that in what they bring to your mindset, because they're giving you, but the reality is we cannot see what we cannot see.
When you're in the forest.
That's right. So I love that you also had a coach for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Now tell me, before we run out of time, so many things that you have said have resonated with me. In the course of your journey, because you mentioned about, just trusting God in some of the aspects of it. So how has your faith played a role in who you are today?
Oh, I think that's huge. I mean, I truly believe you have to take control, and you have to own up and be disciplined and do whatever it is that you're going to do. But then after that, you leave it up to God. I mean, I really believe that God helps those who help themselves. So we have to take that ownership. The other thing I remember as a child, I loved Black Beauty. I don't know if you ever remember. Yes. And so one of the phrases
I haven't thought about that book in a long
oh my gosh,
time.
and I've lived my life by it, is when I think it was Master Gordon tells Black Beauty, and in one of the incarnations says, "Do your best and leave the rest." And I have lived my life like that, because that's all we can do. We can do our best. And to me, leaving the rest is really leaving the rest to, to God.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you were saying the do what you can do and then allow God to do what only he can do. Mark Batterson, in his book, Draw the Circle, he talks about pray like it depends on God, work like it depends on you.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And I think that's how I would state what you were saying. That's immediately what I thought about, is that what you are saying, the principle is there is a certain amount we need to do. And there are things that only God can do.
I mean, the glory goes to, for example, the gold medals.
Yes.
Yes. I had a little bit. I had a little part in it. My coach had a little part in it. But the glory does go to him, because at the end of the day, it's that larger being that fueled the discipline, the desire, the power, everything to be able to do that.
I love it. Oh my word. I'll definitely have you back. I will definitely have you back, because we've got so much more to talk about. But
it's been so much fun,
I know,
Elizabeth. Thank you.
I ask every single guest, why do you believe it's important to cultivate thinking that matters?
Like what we were talking about just now, it is, and when we even mentioned, whatever your mind thinks, the body will follow, for example, it's that kind of, you've got to think it, you put it out into the universe, and just through thought, so much else starts to form around us. And I don't know if we talked before we got on air or not about the cup being half full, the cup being half empty. It's having those, we used to talk about it also, living above the line versus living below the line. And it's all the things we choose. We can choose. I can get up. I've barely had any sleep because I got in from Las Vegas at 1 a.m. But I choose. I love life. I really do. I think you can tell that.
Yes.
And so regardless of what's going on, if I think it, if I put it out there, the rest of me is going to start embracing that.
The brain is incredibly powerful.
Amazing what it can do.
It's incredibly powerful. And
So put
that's
those good thoughts out there.
Yeah, and I would say, it is truly the what the mind thinks, your body follows. So it's important that we cultivate thinking that matters around how we view our body, how we treat our body, and and what will come after that is a different perspective about those things. Well, I am so grateful. Tell them real quickly, how can they, because this will be in the show notes as well, but where can they learn more about Monica's Lifestyle Solutions?
There is actually monicaslifestylesolutions.com. So you can go over there. Feel free, love you to come. My Instagram label is Fit for Purpose Monica. And I would love, and I'm doing a lot with, we also have an INBA, PNBA, because I do the Mr. Miss USA here in the Allen area, and we're going to be starting a show. This will be an amateur show in San Antonio, so we're expanding with that. Super, super excited about it.
It's exciting.
What this is about is giving a platform for all sorts of walks of life to shine on, whether it is a transformation or whether you are a true dyed-in-the-wool bodybuilder. There is a category, even teens and even kids fitness as well.
That's exciting. Well, I'll have you back in the spring and we'll talk more about that.
Fantastic.
So,
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate it.